Hey guys, welcome to Jus Piddlin BBQ Live, the weeknight show. Smitty here with my better half, Brandy, Miss Piddlin. Good to see everybody tonight. Mike Tabor, first one in the house. Austin, Robert, Dave, Jason, good to have you. Cooper the Great, Mark G, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Good to see everybody. Jace, good to have you. Gary, good to have you tonight. Good to see you guys. It's been about a week, hasn't it? Drinking a little iron bean coffee tonight. Got some ride or die going on tonight. Brandy just ground that up in the grinder a while ago.
Thanks, Jason.
Well, Mark, hope your recovery's as speedy as it can be. We'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully a couple more folks will get in here. Before you leave tonight, be sure to give us a thumbs up if you're not a subscriber. Please subscribe. Share our videos if you can. Quick channel update, 5,311 subscribers. So slow and steady wins a race. So we're steadily climbing on up. Dave, watching your video on the fatty and putting it together while watching. Awesome, Dave. Justin Stanley, thank you so much, man. Bless
Hey,
you.
Elvin.
Justin, that stuff helps out a ton, more than you know, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mark.
Elvin, good to have you tonight. Good to have you tonight. Speaking of Justin, well, let's talk about the mailbag here for a minute. Earlier in the week, had a little package in the mailbox, and 3 Charlie's Choice spicy blends came in, thanks to Justin. And I got to tell you, if you haven't tried this, I mean, I'm not sponsored by them at all. A friend of mine here locally turned me on to Charlie's Choice, the regular, and then Justin sent us some spicy blend, and I actually like it better. It's not terribly spicy at all, but just a little spice. But I love this stuff just as an all-purpose rub on anything. So if you haven't tried it, at least try Charlie's Choice. We love that stuff. So Justin, thank you very much. That's really awesome, and we'll be sure to put that in some videos, no doubt. Canadian Jim, good to have you tonight. I just replied to your email. Thank you very much for that info. I really appreciate that, Jim. Thank you a lot. Charlie's Choice, we find it around here locally. If you can't find it locally, Amazon certainly has it. So definitely check out Amazon, and you can use any of my Amazon links. It don't have to be a link to that to go to Amazon, and then I'll get credit for anything that you do on there. Speaking of Amazon links, I'm gonna throw an Amazon link down here at the bottom, and it's actually to this 14-inch slicer that I got, and you'll see it in that turkey video that we just posted if you haven't seen it already. And you're going to see it in the upcoming video that I do on a brisket that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I didn't have a legitimate dedicated slicing knife for bigger pieces of meat, and I wanted to pick one up, but I was looking, and I mean, you can spend as much or as little as you want on a slicing knife, but I didn't have 200 or 300 bucks to spend on a slicing knife that legitimately, I mean, if you do a lot of big pieces of meat, you may only use 10 times a year, maybe. And so I did some research, reading some reviews and everything. And this is a Mercer 14-inch slicing knife, and it was like 30 bucks, under 30 bucks. Yes. And so that's a Amazon link to this knife. If you want to pick you up a inexpensive but good quality, really sharp slicing knife, check it out. It's got a nice ergonomic handle and all that stuff. Again, they're not sponsored at all, but after getting it and using it, I'm really impressed for the cost that I paid for it compared to other, um, more expensive slicing knives. Jack Dixon, first time, and usually catch the video after. Love what you do, Jack. I appreciate that, man. I'm glad you can make it. Really, really appreciate that. Um, I like seeing stuff like that. Miss Delana, good to have you tonight.
Elvin, I surprised myself, but it really was a good pie.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about both those videos a little more in depth in a minute. Daddy Dutch Barbecue, good to have you in the house tonight. If y'all haven't already, y'all please check out Daddy Dutch Barbecue. Eddie Hanks is in the house. Talking about the spatchcock turkey, we're going to get into that in a minute. So really, really cool stuff. Also in the mailbag this week, earlier in the week, Monday or Tuesday maybe, got a really big package from Snake River Farms. Our brisket came in.
It come in Friday.
Friday. Okay, Friday. Came in Friday. And it is in the refrigerator right now, slowly thawing. And we will do that video this coming up Saturday. We're going to do the brisket video. So really looking forward to that. You'll see that knife in that brisket video as well. But really excited about that. 13.4 pound Snake River Farms Wagyu black grade brisket. Looks outstanding just from inside the cryovac package. It's also in a netted bag. Really classy package. But we're going to get into that Saturday and shoot that video. So Saturday is going to be a long but fun day. My kind of Saturday. So really cool. Looking forward to that. So that's what we've got going on as far as the mailbag goes. Now, I'm sure, as you can tell, we've been busy the past week. First of all, I want to apologize for not having a Sunday morning show. And let me quickly get into that. So Friday, was it Friday? Thursday, Nate went to MEPS.
No, he went.
Friday. Late last week.
He signed Friday.
Nate
Friday.
Went to MEPS and took his oath of enlistment, raised his right hand and took his oath of enlistment, which was a really proud moment. He's finally made it that far. Now he's just waiting on a date to go to Parris Island to Marine Corps boot camp. Tomorrow he goes to run a initial strength test, PFT basically, in front of the Sergeant Major. And hopefully he'll get a shipping date tomorrow, maybe tomorrow or Friday. So wishing him well with that. He's made a lot of strides and come a long way in a couple of months, really. And so really proud of that. I was proud of him for that. Plus it was November 10th was Marine Corps birthday. And then we had Veterans Day. And so all that came together on Saturday night. And we commenced to celebrating around the campfire after doing 2 videos. Brandy did the pumpkin pie video. I did the spatchcock turkey video. And then Nate was home and we celebrated him taking the oath and becoming a Marine Corps poolee. Tennessee won. That was amazing. LSU won. Go Tigers. Eddie Hanks. And so we celebrated a little bit Saturday.
A lot.
And into Sunday. And I don't think I went to bed till about 1:30 Sunday morning. And at 6 a.m., the show would not have been good. Let's just put it that way. So I took the Sunday morning show off, but I do apologize for that. But sometimes life happens. But we're making it up tonight. So that's kind of what's been going on. So again, not only did we do the videos Saturday, 2 videos Saturday, we just got those posted a couple hours before tonight's live. So be sure to check those out. But Sunday, after I shook the cobwebs off, Mac and Rhonda came over, and Mac helped me with the barbecue shed pretty for most of the day, really. And we got a ton of stuff done with that. I just posted some pictures, kind of before and after stuff on Instagram that we'll post to Facebook. So check that out and let me know what you guys think about that so far. It's not finished yet, but it's coming a long way, and I might even use that to film a little bit this coming up Saturday. But it's not finished, but it's come a long, long way. It used to be an old greenhouse with some plastic lattice work on the outside, but I think it's come a long way. So let me know what you think about it. So I need the address for the mailbag. I'm finally going to make a contribution to the show from the nation's capital. That's what I'm talking about, Elvin. Should I put it on here? I mean, everybody has it pretty much, I guess.
All they have to do is look you up, and it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Bam, there you go. And if anybody shows up at 5 a.m. or 2 a.m., I'm getting some weapons out.
Good evening, David.
Appreciate that, Elvin. Kurt, good to have you. It's easy to tell a Marine among men. Trouble is, you can't tell him much. I agree with both of those. I agree with both
Mike
of those.
said 3-hour show tonight.
3-hour show tonight for the makeup. I hear you, Mike. I was happy to see former Buckeye Joe Burrow help the Tigers beat Bama. Yeah.
He played his tail off.
Good stuff. David Cooper, good to have you. So we've covered a lot already so far. The mailbag. So let's talk about the two videos. 1234 Main Street, Nowheresville, Georgia. Well, that's about accurate, to be honest with you, Mike. Let's talk about the videos that we did Saturday. So Brandy at first did.
Justin said we need to remove that now. If Elvin has the address.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Elvin, let us know when you get the address and we'll take it off.
I don't know how you take it off, babe. Oh, can I do that?
You better figure it out.
Remove? Yeah, I could remove it.
Lord help. It's your show. You don't know how to do it.
Well, I'm still learning. So Brandy did a pumpkin pie on the Chimp Saturday, and that thing turned out nice. It's not a keto friendly.
No, that's the only bad
thing. And we had that conversation this weekend about maybe we need to start doing more keto friendly desserts instead of regular desserts, because we're trying to be on keto, and it's hard to preach keto when we're doing, a whole cup of sugar in a dessert. That's not really practicing what you preach. So,
but I have a hard time with the keto desserts because I don't like the. Okay, you can take it down now. Everyone's got it.
Well,
I don't like this.
Yeah, but we don't have a hard time eating them.
Stevia.
Well, you don't. I'm not getting in that. So, anyway, but I do have to say that pumpkin pie was one of the best I've had, and you're going to hear that a couple times tonight. But I'm not just blowing smoke up your tails. That was one of the best pumpkin pies I've ever had. And then we did the spatchcock turkey.
That was good turkey.
That's the best turkey I've ever had. Flavor-wise, that's the best turkey I've ever had. And Brandy said the same thing. We usually don't like turkeys that much. Let's face it. Everybody that's gone to their families for Thanksgiving, there's always a turkey there. And 9 times out of 10, it's dry as a bone, and it doesn't taste like a whole lot of anything. And I've got to tell you, the turkey that I just posted the video on, it tasted like I had brined it for 24 hours or that I had injected it with an injection. And I didn't do either one. But it was that juicy and that flavorful. And a lot of it, I think, just thinking back on it, I've never put that much salt on a turkey before. It's always been a barbecue rub or a poultry seasoning. But that salt, that herb salt that I got from Gregor, uh, I mean, not Gregor, Gavin McGregor from Australia, that herb salt was amazing on that. And it penetrated that meat somehow. And you could taste it. I mean, it had a really good herby, salty flavor, not like overly salted, but it tasted like something other than just like a dry piece of cardboard, like most turkeys taste like. I was so happy with that turkey. So we had the turkey and we had the pumpkin pie, so that was a good day, and everything turned out great. Brandy did. Brandy
Too
did.
bad, Kurt.
I
agree, Mike.
Well, it's not like I sit there with a spoon and eat it out of the container. If you mix it,
oh gosh, I can't do it.
If you mix it lightly, I mean, it's. Well, I tell you this, I would rather eat stevia or nothing at all than keep shooting sugar down my throat. That's just. I mean, you gotta.
I cut back on
You gotta
my
make a
sugar
choice.
for my coffee, and I still lost weight, so I just cut back. Splenda, yes, right. Splenda's all right. No.
Splenda may be. I know not stevia, but Splenda is not. I don't think one of them is not. It's like some kind of chemical or something.
Well, which one do you
Stevia.
use?
Stevia.
Okay.
Stevia is from a plant. It's a natural occurring growing plant, and that's what they get the sweetness from. Really, another good alternative, monk fruit. Thank you, Austin. Monk fruit is really a good quality alternative to all those. So
my brother made it on the show.
Sweet and low, I don't think sweet and low is good. I don't. Some of that stuff I think contains aspartame or something like that. I don't think sweet and low is good. I know stevia is, and I know anything made from that monk fruit is.
He's laughing because he knows it's not.
I think the other alternative would just be some Charlie's Choice and just be done with it.
Oh, gosh.
Add a little spice in your life. So she did her pumpkin pie on the Chimp. I did the spatchcock turkey on the Pro 780. We shared the love with both the pellet grills. And now we're going to put the pellet grills away and we're going to do that brisket on the Kamado Joe. Really looking forward. It's going to fit. I measured it yesterday, I think. Me and Harley was on the phone talking about it. So we measured it and it's going to fit by an inch or two on the Kamado Joe Classic 2. And plus it's going to shrink a little bit, after it cooks and all that. But really looking forward to doing that brisket on the Kamado Joe. The last brisket I did on the pellet grill, and I just want to do something different. So we're going to do it on the Kamado Joe. Probably going to use some hickory or some oak. Depends on what I can find as far as chunks go. Or I may just make my own. I've got a little bit left. One other thing I want to talk about real quick. And I don't know if Eddie Hanks is still on here or not. He might have gotten off. But anyway, if he is on here, he can comment some too. Because me and Eddie, we've talked about this before. Me and Harley have talked about this before. I'm also thinking about, while I'm doing the barbecue shed out there, it's the craziest thing you've ever seen, but it's a dog box, but it's elevated in the air on a telephone pole. Why it's like that, I don't know. It was here. Eddie says I never leave the show until it's over. It was here when we got the house. So, but I have used it to store fat lighter in. And one of Brandy's daddy's friends hooked me up with a bunch. He worked at a lumber yard. And sometimes when they would send the trees through the sawmill, they would be fat. And so there was nothing they could really do with them. So they would just throw the boards to the side. And they're legitimately 3 foot long, 2x4 fat wood is what they are. And I've got that whole dog box full of them. And I saw the other day somebody on Facebook maybe was selling fat wood for like outrageous. I mean, it was like selling something illegal on the street corner almost. And I got to thinking, I want to tear that box down just because it'll give me a more open view from the barbecue shed out there. So I want to tear it down, but I got to do something with the fat lighter. So I think what I'm going to do is cut those up into just cubes, fire starter cubes, and I'll put them on the website. And, some of you guys can use them for starting your fires in your fireplace, your grills, whatever. Now, here comes the influx of comments about don't use fat lighter in your grills. I have used fat lighter in everything that you can burn a fire in. I've used it in the Kamado Joe. I've used it in the Weber kettle that I had. I used it in my fire pit. I've used it in my fireplace in the living room. Especially here in Georgia, you can find you can walk a block away and go into the woods somewhere and you can find some fat lighter. It's everywhere around here. Everybody uses it here. It doesn't impart any kind of chemical stuff. It's a natural occurring chemical reaction in the wood. That resin builds up, and that's what is flammable in the wood. And so, like if I use it in my Kamado Joe, I put my charcoal in there. I'll put me a cube of that fat lighter in there, and I light it, cover it up with some more charcoal. I leave my Kamado Joe lid open until the cube disappears. Then I close it and start dialing in my temps. There's no odor. There's no chemical taste or smell or anything imparted in my Kamado Joe or the food that we eat. We've never been able to tell any difference. So to all those people that would say that, I can understand how you would say that, but all I would say is just use it and then see for yourself, because I've used it for years and never had that issue. Harley has said the same thing. And I think me and Eddie have had this conversation too. And he says he's used it before too and has used it without no issues. So anyway, I thought it'd be something else to put on the website that maybe you can't find in your area. And that'll also help me get rid of the fat lighter. So I'll let you know when I do it. It's going to take me a little while to run all of it through the saws and cube it up. But so just an idea I wanted to throw out there with you guys and see your thoughts on all that.
Justin wants to know, isn't this the salt that you use from Gavin?
All right. So
Justin wanted to know.
This is called Outback Spirit. First of all, let me see if I don't know if it's going to show up. There we go. Outback Spirit. Now this is not the one that I used. This is the Tasmanian pepper salt. The other one was an herb pepper salt, I believe. I think it was herb pepper. This one is Tasmanian pepper salt, but it's by Outback Spirit. And I got to say, even this, it's one of the I mean, it smells so fragrant with herbs.
Yeah, I smell it.
It's really unique and adds a lot of flavor. So if you can, if you want to try it, Outback Spirit pepper salts, herb salts, gluten-free, but it came from Australia. So really cool. And I've got a little bit of this left. I'm sure I'll use it on something. And when I do, I'll be sure to tell you about it when I do. Dave Brock, never heard it called that. Hold on, where'd it go? Never heard it called that. Have heard it called fat wood, but not fat lighter. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty. It's fat wood, but here in Georgia we call it fat lighter. Is what I've always. Um, Justin, Georgia fat wood used to use in the fireplace when I was young. Dave Brock, is it just really sappy pine wood? That's it. It's basically a pine evergreen, but around here it's pine, and um, most of the time it's a dead or going dead pine tree, but sometimes you can still catch it live, especially in the root system. The tree's still alive, but some of the root has already turned fat. And most of the time, you can catch the root of that pine tree when it has come above ground. And if you just hit it with a knife or a little hatchet, if it's orange tinted, and you can smell it right away, it smells exactly like pine sol, is what it smells like. When I when I cut some of it up, and I've done some projects with it, that cross, I'm pointing at it like y'all can see it, but I've showed it to you guys before. The baseball cross, that's total solid pine, fat wood. And when I ran that through my saws, it smelled like somebody had spilled 50 gallons of pine sol out there in the wood shop. That's how strong it smelled. And it's sticky and it sticks to your clothes, and you can just gum it up in your hands, the sawdust. Um, but that's basically what it is it's the turpentine itself.
Smiley's on.
Eddie says, yep, I have a shed full of it. Use it all the time. Harley says, I remember fat lighter being a part of my upbringing since I was knee high to a grasshopper, unbeatable. Daddy loved it. He had it all the time. So, anyway, I'm going to cut it up. I may do some into little cubes and then some into sticks. So you'll have a choice. I may do that. I know, like in my Kamado Joe and stuff like that, I would rather have cubes. But say, like in that gaucho or something, or in my fireplace or fire pit, I would rather have little sticks. So I'll probably do both. So, and I love it. I love the smell of it. Camping, you find you a good fat light, what we call fat lighter knot. It's just a big, and I do have some that's not 2x4s. It's just, we went out to Brandy's daddy's hunting club out there and found a couple of big stumps out there and brought them back home. Uh, I love that smell. Gregor, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, Chad says Bristol, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I always take a big container of that fat lighter with us up to Bristol, and there's never any issue having a fire. If you can't get it started with fat lighter, you just can't get a fire started. Smoking barbecue, good to have you. Tips and recipes, good to have you. I know a subscriber who would love on that silverback crying behind your shed. What? Who would love on that silverback crying behind you shed. I don't know what that means, Mike. I gotta be honest with you. I'm trying to read between the lines. Neglected. It is not neglected. I tell you what, Mike, now that you mention that though, I do have to do some maintenance on it for the first time. Legit maintenance on it. So I'm going on 3 years of having the silverback, and I have got, before I use it again, I have got to take the bolts off of where the chimney is attached to the barrel. I've got to take that off because there's some grease built up in that elbow of that chimney. So I've got to get that burn out of there. And also the gasket around that chimney itself is starting to leak, and it's starting to drip down the side of my silverback. So I need to get another, and I haven't looked yet to see if, I'm sure Mark and them have a a replacement gasket. But if not, I'm sure I can get something from the hardware store. But I need to replace that gasket and clean out that chimney. So before I use it again, I've got to do that because it's leaking. It's leaking pretty bad now. So I've got to get that done. 3-year review and cleaning video. I mean, it'll probably go over well. I mean, you're exactly right. How to clean out your chimney on your Silverbac. Perfect. So I may do that. Great idea. Harley, he wants you to give him the Silverbac. Harley says he uses fat lighter for aftershave.
I know, I saw it.
All right. So what else we have? We covered the pumpkin pie. We covered the turkey video. Rick's Barbecue and Specialties. Good to have you from Tecate, Mexico. Good to have you. So now, doing the brisket. Just did the turkey. Now we're doing the brisket Saturday. Jace, what are you cooking? I'm cooking that brisket Saturday.
Well, we have a chance of rain.
Well, there's a chance of rain, so I think we debated. I've already got out there in the barbecue shed. I've already got the Chimp, the Silverbac, the 780, and Nate's Pro 22 out there in the shed. What we were going to do was leave the Kamado Joe on the back porch just because I'm a little leery of wheeling that ceramic all the way out there on the little wooden walkway and trying to get it in there. But I think I want to do it. So we may do it anyway. If not, we'll probably put up the canopy and do it like that on the cool deck. But either way we're going to do, nothing's going to stop me from doing that brisket. So I'm going to find a way to do it Saturday. Also, what were we talking about cooking Saturday besides the brisket?
I'm going to make some cauliflower potato salad.
Cauliflower potato salad. So that's going to be keto friendly. And she's made it before. We've eaten it before. And it tasted exactly like potato salad. Now, I'm not big. I know a lot of people say, oh, keto, everything is going to be great. It tastes so wonderful. That's a bunch of crap because we've eaten some stuff and we're like, that tastes like crap. So if it tastes like crap, I'm going to tell you. The cauliflower fake potato salad, on the other hand, it tasted exactly like potato salad. You really couldn't tell any difference. The texture was the same. You know, if you don't cook the potatoes until they're just mush, they got still just a little bite to them. If you do that with the cauliflower, it tastes exactly like potato salad. So she's going to do that, and that'll be really good Saturday with the brisket. So that's what we're cooking.
Maybe some fresh green beans.
Maybe some fresh green beans. So tell us what y'all are cooking. Rick's Barbecue and Specialties. I tried that urban pizza place in El Cajon. It's awesome. Thanks for a good tip. Yeah, man, that place, that was 2014. So that's been 5 years.
No, we went the next year.
2015?
Yeah.
4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe it's been that long. But yeah, that place, I love that place.
You've been married to me.
They had some, oh my gosh. That place was awesome. The pizza was great, wood-fired pizza. They had great beers, just a great atmosphere. Loved that place. That was really cool. Yeah. And I used to live a couple of blocks away from that on Lexington Avenue down there when I was stationed at Miramar.
Jace wants to find a tri-tip.
Jace, I want to find a tri-tip and cook one of those this weekend. Jace, I'm surprised you can't find one around your area, though, being in Texas. You know, and it just depends on, I would say, or if you have a Costco or a Sam's out there, it's probably Costco or a HEB. I'm sure they have them.
Hibbs. Austin.
I saw a guy post today about his chimney on his Traeger. It was totally clogged up with gunk. Yeah, my Silverbac is getting that way. So I don't want to, you know, I don't want to ever do anything that's going to risk any kind of grease fire, and it's getting close to that. So I'm going to wait until I clean it before I use it again. But again, that's something else that you've got to, all these guys out there that are getting these pellet smokers and are saying set it and forget it and all that crap. And I don't ever clean mine out. And these guys that say, man, you clean it out, you got rid of all your seasoning. Well, I don't season mine with creosote and grease. So I'm gonna clean mine out. You do what you want with yours, but I'm gonna clean mine out. So,
Hey, Albert.
Dad, incredible barbecue, beer, and more. Good to have you. Good to have you.
Jay said he's only found a few times at HEB.
I mean, Jace, and again, I'm not sponsored at all. And let me say this, Jace, and you know how I am by now. I get it. I mean, we're on a budget every single month, you know. I get it. But if you want to splurge, Snake River Farms has briskets, quality, awesome briskets, probably, I'm sure. And you're going to get them within the next day or two and ready to rock and roll with them. I was able to get that brisket with Harley's help. So, Harley, I appreciate your help with it. And I did pay for a discounted price for it, but I still paid for it with some of Jus Piddlin BBQ's money. But I mean, I get it. It's not a lot of the Snake River Farms, LaBelle's of New York, for example. Those two places have outstanding meats. The only part is, if it comes down to paying the electric bill or buying a tri-tip, you got to pay the electric bill. So I get it, man. But I'm just throwing out ideas. Hardly add it to my tab. My tab's pretty long by now, I'm sure.
Speaking of cleaning out grills, I cleaned out the Chimp before I used it Saturday.
That's right. So, and again, that's a great point, babe. All these guys that, well, I don't have time to clean out my grill and all that stuff. Brandy's doing her video on the Chimp. I'm doing my video on the 780. She cleaned out her own grill, took everything out, vacuumed it out, replaced the tinfoil and all that, made sure it was clean, put everything back inside, made sure it had pellets and all that stuff. She did all that stuff by herself. So, well, I get excited. So, proud of her for doing that. There's a lot of women that wouldn't do that, and I'm proud of her for doing that. And that shows you that it's really not that hard, is it?
No, it's not hard. I mean, that's not the first time I've done it, but I did all of it Saturday.
And what did it take, like 10 minutes?
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. And so, Jace, that's the point I'm trying to make, that every now and then, if you want to splurge on something, that's probably the way to go. And the packaging that we got, like that brisket, it's in a Cryovac, and then it's in a netted handled bag. And then they sent us,
and we got a freezer. We got a
catalog, we got stickers, we got a
bag,
freezer bag. I mean, a nice cloth outside, logoed handled bag with the insulation on the inside type bag, that was included with it. I mean, really well packaged. So really, I mean, couldn't be happier with it. So
Gregor's here.
Yeah, I said hey to Gregor a while ago.
Oh.
Good to see old Gregor, always.
Chad said he could bring hot dogs if you cooking a brisket.
Hey, come on, Smiley. We doing it rain or shine Saturday. Of course, I'm probably going to start at about 5
Mm.
or 6 in the morning. I mean, it's going to take 12 hours, 13 hours, babe.
I have to be able to videotape at that time?
What? You're
Oh my gosh.
piddling ain't easy, babe. Hey,
Chad, you need to come spend the night Friday night so you can get up with him Saturday morning and videotape him till I wake up.
I thought you were I mean, you volunteered to be the secretary and the videographer and all
The
that.
secretary does not have to get up until 5 o'clock in the morning.
The videographer does, though. I'll start you a little ride or die. Ride or die. Iron Bean Coffee. Woo! We need some fierce for that, don't we?
You need more than that. Rick's Barbecue and Specialties. I wish we had a HEB around here.
Yeah.
I love that grocery store when I lived in Texas. Well, what went too fast? There we go. Austin.
My Chimp is due for a cleaning, but strangely enough, I've been using the Pit Boss vertical smoker a lot the last year, and it's not as gunky as the Chimp is. That's interesting. Why do you think that is, Austin? That's interesting.
I know it, Mike. Ever so often I whack him one.
Keep on going, babe. HEB Central Market on Broadway.
Chad said
I'll splurge on beef dogs. Brisket is a full day job. Yeah. That's the only thing about doing videos like the turkey video, for example, because we were filming a couple videos and I had went to Lowe's to get some stuff for the barbecue shed and stuff like that. We got a late start on the videos, so we ran out of daylight. Plus, with the time change, it gets darker sooner, and so I want to get started earlier. By the way, I know, and I apologize for the lighting some on the turkey video. We were shooting kind of into the sun and it just made for a bad glare and we didn't really notice it until after everything was already said and done. But we'll try to pay more attention to that. Just, something else that you have to try to get used to when you're doing videos, and you're not like a professional videographer. But when you want to finish it when it's still light so you can get some good pictures and good videos and stuff like that. But we'll just see how it goes and try to make it as good as we can make it. But ultimately, I don't want to rush it. I want it to be, done like it's supposed to be, especially when you've got a piece that's expensive as that. You want it to, you want it done right. So I'm not going to rush it for the sake of the video. We'll improvise and adapt and overcome any obstacles that we come up with as far as that goes. What cooking temp you going with on the brisket cook? Eddie, that's a good question. And I was going to talk about that. And you reminded me. So here's my plan for the brisket. I'm going to go 225, 250. I want to stay in between that range on the brisket. And here's my plan. Now, everybody has their own plans. And I know Eddie's been cooking briskets since he was in diapers, probably. And I know Eddie has his ways of doing it. And I've learned a lot from watching Eddie doing his. But here's my plan. Me and Harley talked about this idea the other day, too. And I think it's going to go really well. I wanted to kind of do my spin on just a Texas style brisket. Really, Texas style for most people is really just half and half salt and pepper, really seasoning it that way. But I want to do something a little bit different. Number one, because I have it on hand and I need to use it. So I've got a bunch of blackened Saskatchewan seasoning from Traeger. And that is really similar to a half and half salt pepper. It has a few more seasonings in it, but when you smell it, when you taste it, it's really a blackened salt and pepper type rub. And so I thought that's going to be good with it, but I've always wanted to try making my own coffee rub with the iron bean coffee. And so I thought, well, I'm going to take that Black and Saskatchewan rub and I'm going to grind me some cast iron bean coffee, and I'm going to add that with it. And we're going to have a coffee style Texas rub to go on that brisket. And we're going to keep it that simple. Rub it down with that, 225 to 250, with some either oak or hickory. Depends on what I can find. And we're going to roll with that. I think I'm going to use the Baltic lump charcoal. I still have some of that left over. And so I'm going to use that in the Kamado Joe. And we're going to let it roll. And I'm going to try to keep it at that temp. And it really depends on what the bark is looking like, whether I decide to wrap it or not. I hadn't decided if I'm going to wrap it yet or not. We'll just have to see how it goes. I know the last one that I did, I wrapped, and it turned out really good. But on the Kamado Joe, I really think that it's going to be different from the pellet grill. And so I just want to take a look at it and see. So the setup for the Kamado Joe, and I'm going to talk about it in the video, but I'm going to put that place setter down, put me a drip pan underneath, nothing in it, but it's going to catch the drippings from that brisket. And hopefully I can save those, separate some of the fat from it, and incorporate that on top of the brisket when I get done. James, what's going on, brother? Good to have you tonight. James as well, he can do some briskets too. James, I'm doing a brisket Saturday. So any tips you want to throw at me, let me have them. But and we're just going to let it roll like that. Butcher paper or foil if you do decide to wrap. Last time I did butcher paper, Jace. For kicks, I may just do foil if I decide to wrap. I've seen guys, sometimes they use butcher paper, sometimes they use foil. Some guys live and die by butcher paper. Some guys live and die by foil. Some guys never wrap. So,
you're a mixture.
You know, it depends on which side of bed I get up on that morning, whether I'm going to wrap or not. But what I'm going to do is look and see how the bark is. If it's getting too dark, then I'll probably wrap it. If it's not, then I'm probably just going to let it go and get a nice, good bark on it. So we'll just see how it goes. Mesquite would be tasty on brisket. Yeah, if I was doing a pellet grill, I'd probably get some mesquite pellets. But as far as wood chunks around here, I'm not going to be able to find any mesquite wood chunks in this area. But it would go well with that, especially with that seasoning combination. Eddie, I'm excited. I know it'll turn out great. I like all your food. Eddie, I appreciate that. And again, I've learned a lot from watching you do briskets. James, I've learned a lot from watching him do briskets and his videos as well. So I'm gonna try to do that brisket justice. I know that it's a real high quality brisket, no doubt about it. And so I want to do it justice. So, and the way I look at a cook like that is not to get into a rush. Take your time, just like I said on the Kamado Joe video about adjusting your temps on it. I'm gonna sneak up on that temp. I'm gonna dial it in, and I'm just gonna relax and take my time on it, and not be in a hurry. And as long as you do that and you have a consistent temp, you're gonna be fine with it. So I'm gonna roll with it. James, I'll be doing 5 or 6 briskets myself this weekend. Well, James, that's awesome. Are you gonna be filming them or sharing maybe a little bit of live on those cooks? Let us know about that, and we can tune into that as well. And I did actually, I've talked about this a couple of times, and I haven't done it yet. But that might be a good opportunity to start practicing with the Facebook Live some. I know Eddie does them all the time. I've just never done a Facebook Live, and I don't know. I may play around with that a little bit Saturday and just give a little update on the brisket cook. Just an impromptu Facebook Live deal. We'll see how that goes. I made an awesome brisket. I mopped it with Worcestershire sauce, and it made it taste like it was pastrami. Kevin, I appreciate you sharing that, and that's a good idea. I mean, that goes really well with that beef. So I could see how it would be a good little spritz for that brisket. Kurt says he quit wrapping ribs. Yeah, Kurt, as far as ribs go, I'll wrap them sometimes on a pellet grill, but I don't ever wrap them on the pit barrel cooker. So it just kind of depends on how that goes.
Mike, you can come on down here this weekend.
Brisket served at his house always tastes better. James, foil versus butcher paper. Depends on what you're trying to achieve. If I want a better bark, I'm going for butcher paper. Yep. If I'm trying to capture liquid, I'm going with foil. Yeah, and I agree with you 100% with that. It seems like that foil holds in that moisture a lot better, and that butcher paper is going to absorb a little bit of that moisture, but it kind of lets it breathe a little bit too. So it just kind of, you're going to sacrifice one thing to gain another, I guess, with the foil and butcher paper. And if you just don't wrap it at all, you're going to gain a little bit more bark, but it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, I guess. So I'm going to use my eyes and touch it a little bit and see how it feels and see how it looks, and make a decision about 6 hours in or so what I'm going to do from there.
One in Statesboro.
When you wrap a piece of beef, you're steaming it. Bad idea. Well, if you wrap it, and I think if you add liquid and you don't wrap it tight, I think you are steaming it. But I don't know how much you're actually steaming it if you wrap it really tight, which is what I try to do with foil as much as possible. Albert, where's Albert? Gonna go too far?
Yeah, right here.
Do you have Publix or Academy Sports in your area? If so, they carry mesquite chunks. Is there an Academy in Statesboro?
They didn't know Publix?
I don't know if there's a Publix or not. There might be.
Isn't that what they're fixing to build at the
pass? I'll have to check that out. James, I'll be filming, but I may go live too. I'm cooking for a little cancer benefit. James, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's good stuff, man. Good deal. That's a competition with a great cause. That's good stuff. Eddie, just a method I've used for a good bark. Put a couple of wood blocks under brisket to keep it from pooling. That's a good idea too. I saw somebody else mention that. I was watching a video yesterday. I forget who said that, but I saw that as well. That's a good tip. I used to wrap in the Bodio, Iceman or something, the good old days. I saw a guy do a brisket with a tinfoil bottom and then did a half wrap in butcher's paper. The brisket came looking really juicy. That's interesting. I might be thinking a little bit too hard. I'm not sure.
Amy, how are you?
Mike, Everyday Barbecue. Good to have you, brother. So do you go low and slow or hot and fast? Kevin, that's a great question, and it seems like hot and fast is a trend right now, and everybody's talking about hot and fast, but I just like low and slow. I just like it low and slow. I mean, I like taking my time and enjoying the experience. And I feel like if you get in a hurry, you're more apt to make a mistake, especially with a larger or more expensive piece of meat. And so I just want to take my time and go low and slow with it. Nothing wrong with hot and fast. I see a lot of good results with that. It's all about, your preference and what you're more comfortable with, I guess. Harry Sue, that's right. I saw him doing the putting something under the brisket to keep it from pooling.
We've missed you too, Amy.
Yeah, that's who I saw do it the other day. How much fun is the Nuke grill? I love it. Now I've only cooked on it twice, and I've filmed once, but I love it. It's that's the kind of cooking that I like doing. I like cooking with real fire. Not to say that I don't like using my pellet grills, but if I want to cook strictly for enjoyment and just enjoying the process and all that, I like that Nuke. I like that Gaucho style grill or the Watchman Stove, even the Kamado Joe. I like those kind of cookers just because you get to be more involved with the cook, and I'm piddling, and that's what I like. So I love it, and it's something different that not everybody has in the backyard. And so, and I even had a guy, comment and say he thought it was pretty pointless. Well, then don't use it. But I think it's pretty awesome. It's pretty fun to me. So, I mean, that was probably a guy that probably has a charbroil gas grill or something, and he goes out there and burns hamburgers at 700 degrees, and in 10 minutes, he's back inside. So I just like the process. I love that experience. What gives a better smoke, pellets or wood? Kevin, I would have to say, well, first of all, not to get technical, but pellets are wood. Pellets are real wood. They're made out of real wood. And there's no real byproducts in a pellet. It's just compressed wood dust or chips. So it is real wood. However, I would say, and I know what you're asking, pellets or stick wood. And I would have to say stick wood gives a more traditional smoke flavor. I think pellets, just by the nature of the air induction fan, the air being introduced into the chamber, and that kind of thing, and also the pellets are under a constant flame the whole time, whereas a stick burner, offset smoker, or even a Kamado Joe with wood chunks, it's not a piece of wood that's on fire the whole time. So with that, I think that the stronger, more traditional smoke flavor is with a stick wood or chunk of real wood. That's what I think. Mike says hot and faster can be harder to nail, easy to overcook if you're not careful. I agree with that 100%. At your age, low and slow leads to less disappointment. Indeed, it does, Kurt. Everyday barbecue. Appreciate you, brother. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. I appreciate you, man. Mike is one of the, I've met a lot of people doing this channel, and Mike is one of the best people that I have had the joy of meeting by doing this channel. So if you haven't, y'all check Everyday Barbecue and Cuisine out. He's a great guy. Above and beyond his channel, he's just a great guy. So I appreciate you, Mike. Mike, that's a good one. I did do, and Harley called in. and we talked about pellet mills for a long time, about the makeup of pellets and stuff like that. So that was a really good conversation too.
Did you read that?
I'm new to this channel. So glad I found it. Man, I'm glad you found it too, Kevin. And I appreciate your input and your questions, man. And, I like to always say, I don't think there's any barbecue guru experts on here, but there's a lot of knowledgeable people on here that like to share a lot of their knowledge. And that's what I like about everybody being on here. So really happy that you found it. Eddie, appreciate that. Yeah, hit that bell. And again, if you're on here before you hop off, please hit that thumbs up button. YouTube really likes that kind of stuff, and I certainly appreciate that. Mike, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. Mike Tabor, appreciate you, brother. Happy belated Veterans Day. I appreciate that. Dinner's on Mike. I appreciate you, man.
Well, I cooked a keto lasagna, so he's already had dinner.
That keto lasagna was good. Instead of the pasta, she thinly sliced zucchini and used that as the pasta noodles. But it tasted exactly like lasagna. I mean, that was really a good meal.
Jason's got one.
Do you guys put meat on right out of the fridge or let it sit on the counter for a bit? I feel like I get a better smoke ring when that meat is colder. Jace, personally, I agree with you 100%. I don't know what the other guys are going to say, but for me, I find that a better smoke ring is when it's a colder piece of meat, just because of that reaction with the myoglobin in the meat. Takes longer for it to reach that temperature where it stops. And so I think you get a better smoke ring the colder the piece of meat is. I agree. Austin says he leaves the meat cold. It'll get a better smoke ring. I think we're in consensus on that. Awesome. And that's the way I do my pork butts too. I'll even go as far as seasoning them the night before, wrapping them in saran wrap, putting them in the refrigerator, and just letting them sit there overnight. Then I go out, start my grill, and then I put my pork butt on, and it's cold when it goes on.
Harley and BBQ.
Bad thing about cold meat is it shrinks up. It does do that, Mike. That is a fact. Been hesitant to try a brisket. Waiting for the video now. Awesome, Dave. I've got one up on my channel, Dave, that we did last year on the
Last year?
Timberline, or it might have been this year.
No, it hasn't been this year.
Last year, might have been last year.
But
I did it on the Traeger Timberline. Thanks to Stephen Manis, he donated that brisket to me, and that thing turned out really good as well. You can check it out, or Eddie Hanks does them all the time on Facebook. Aim them and claim them smokers. James does them all the time as well. Really good resources for those briskets. I think we all agree on the temperature stuff. I do the same with all big cuts of meat. It seems to have a better flavor when I wrap it overnight in the fridge. And to be honest with you, I do that too after I patty out hamburgers. Just the temperature of your hands kind of starts breaking down that fat in the meat if you use an 80-20, for example. And so after you patty them out and season them up, if you'll put them on a pan and put them back in the fridge for a little bit, it'll tighten them back up and they'll hold together better when you put them on the grill. Kevin, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Glad you stopped in here. And again, welcome anytime. As many comments as you want to make, I appreciate you 100%. Thank you. It's always good to see new guys and gals on here. So, and guys, don't forget, get your spouse involved too, and it'll be a lot better experience. I know me and Brandy enjoy getting out there together and cooking together and that kind of thing. So, Saturday when we did those videos, that was a pretty nice day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Till you got in the bottle.
Yes. And it was good until Sunday. Them girls are the best, ain't they, Amy? Sure are.
Amy, I've got to mail you something too. I just keep forgetting.
Absolutely, Dave. I've got a couple of burger videos, and one of the best tips I think that I do is like if you get a sheet pan when you're pattying out your burgers, whatever rub or seasoning that you're going to use on your burgers, go ahead and spread it out on that pan. Then when you patty out your burgers and put your burgers down on the pan, the underneath side of your burgers are already seasoned. And then all you have to do is season the tops and you're done on both sides rather than seasoning one side, flipping it over and having to season the other. So that's just a little quick tip there. I like the no flip burgers. It makes it easy, number one. And number two, you can incorporate things into it to make it a little more tender burger, but you don't have to worry about them falling apart when you flip them because you're not flipping them. So that's one thing I like about it.
Very true, Mike. Very true.
Mike, you're just full of wisdom tonight, man. Mike's on top of his game tonight. Must be the full moon.
Oh, it's been awful at school.
Yeah, sausage patties sound good too, like that. That's a good tip. Smashed burgers or no flip. I can't get over the smashed burgers on the Blackstone. I did some with prime ground beef last week, and they were awesome. Man,
Oh,
go Navy. That's what I'm talking about, Eddie.
No, Eddie. No. They're playing Notre Dame Saturday.
I know,
No.
but I got to root for Navy.
Mm-mm.
No.
Irish all the way. They're playing at home too, by the way, Eddie. So it'll be interesting.
Jace, I got to say, smash burgers are no flip. I think they're different. I think they're different tastes, different textures. So, it just depends on what I'm craving. Sometimes nothing's going to replace that smash burger, though. I agree with you with that. Very good tip for seasoning burgers. Too many times people overwork the meat by handling them too much. Yep, I agree with that 100%, Harley. Does it matter what type of meat you get, prime or choice? Makes a difference if you're going to be smoking it. I guess it depends on what kind of meat you're talking about. Kevin, I think if you're just talking about burgers or something like that, I don't know if you can tell that much difference, but I think when you go with the bigger pieces of meat, your briskets, I would even say tri-tip, chuck roast, for example. Those kinds of things, I think it does make a difference. But to be honest with you, the grocery store that we have here locally, unless we drive 30 miles or more, we're not going to find prime anyway. So everything that we get pretty much is choice. So, but I think if you do want to spend the extra money, I do think that it's worth it. Now, with that being said, there are different grades of choice. There at some point there's got to be a line drawn where there's a difference between choice and prime, for example. And if you can find some choice that's right up to that level, right before prime, then it's going to be pretty good. Excuse me.
Eddie, it'll be an even better weekend if I don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Just saying.
It is football weather now, definitely. Go Navy. Off subject, look up Gibbs Garden in Georgia. It would be a great outing. Gibbs Garden. We'll have to look that up. Brisket burgers, ground up 80-20, makes the best hamburgers any way you grill it up. Austin, that gets me to the last point, and then we're going to go. We've been on 1 hour and 10. But we've done a turkey video. We're going to do a brisket video. Obviously, most of the time there's going to be leftovers. What do you guys do with your leftover turkeys? What do you guys do with your leftover briskets? Now, for us, I mean, turkeys, obviously turkey sandwiches, maybe a turkey, turkey salad, kind of like chicken salad, something like that. Brisket, obviously, brisket chicken. I mean, brisket chicken, brisket chili. But other than that, what do you guys do with your leftover brisket? Give me some ideas as far as that goes. Rusty, I agree with that 100%. Kevin, this really not I don't even have to think about it. My favorite thing to smoke is a pork butt. I love pork butts, and I know, if you're out in Texas or out that way, it's brisket. But for me, there's nothing like good pork butt barbecue.
Hey, Matt.
Matt, good to have you tonight.
Nice job, Mike. That's good.
Dave, leftover brisket, how could you have that? Yeah, that's a good point. Turkey and dressing soup with leftovers.
Oh, brisket and the omelets. Ooh, we can.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Omelets and
quesadillas.
Oh.
Very good. Down 8 pounds on keto. That's what I'm talking about, Mike. Great job, man. Stay the course. Vacuum pack it and reheat in the hot water. Tastes like it just came off the smoker. Good tip, Matt. Brisket and noodles. My wife makes homemade noodles. That sounds good, Gary.
Yeah, we'll put almost anything in
a tortilla. I agree with you, Jeremy.
Brisket tacos.
Amy, I have to have chips, so I suck at keto. Well, Amy, you might have to make your own chips. Get you some Joseph's bread and cut it into little crackers and bake those in the oven. You can season them with whatever rub you want.
Or do
tortillas
into triangles and make your own chips.
Yeah. The low carb tortillas. Leftover brisket. Sometime I'm going to chop it up. Sloppy Joes. I've seen Russ has done some brisket nachos, I think.
Kevin, yeah.
Kevin, I do. It's Sandy Smith is my personal page, and then I have a page linked to it that's called Jus Piddlin BBQ.
And what's your Twitter? Jus Piddlin.
Twitter. Yes, Jus Piddlin BBQ. I just got back on Twitter. Twitter kind of annoys me. Probably just because I hate saying Twitter. That sounds kind of... But I don't like the format on Twitter, but it's kind of a necessary evil, so I got back on there. Instagram, I'm on Instagram, Jus Piddlin BBQ, Jus Piddlin BBQ.
Amy likes the lime.
Me too. Yes. Brisket tacos.
Pork rinds are keto chips. Very true, Mike. Jay says he eats brisket tacos every Friday morning for breakfast.
Jace, how much brisket are y'all cooking, man? Brisket machine. Amy keeps Lay's in business. So do you buy rubber or what?
He's probably meaning...
I get them at...
Or make your own. Do you buy rubs or do you make your own?
I used to, there for a little while, I was making my own. But then one of the things that happened is people started sending me rubs. And before I knew it, I had a cabinet full of rubs in there. So there was no need in me making them. But I've done both. And really, there's so many good rubs out there. I don't really know if you save any money by making your own. And once you make your own, most of the time, you can find some that are pretty much the same. The only thing I'll say is when you do make your own rubs, you know exactly what you put into that rub. There's no question or second guessing what all's in here other than what you think it is. So that's something to keep in mind.
Matt's cooking 18 pounds.
I hear you, Matt. That's a monster. Do you like the flat or the point? I know a lot of people like the point more because it's fattier and juicier. But me personally, I like the flat better. I just like those. I mean, I'm kind of OCD a little bit. I like the more uniform,
A little bit.
the uniform slices, with that smoke ring. I like that. Um, that other brisket I did, I cut the point off and made some burn ends out of them, and they were pretty good. I wish I'd cooked them longer though. But you live and learn. That's one part of doing barbecue is you learn from, your cook. So.
Amy.
Austin keeps pharmaceuticals in business.
I think so.
Amy, I believe you.
Oh, good. Good night, Matt. Hope you have a good night and a good rest of the week and weekend.
Jace, cheers, brother. Have a great week, the rest of the week. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here an hour and almost 20 minutes. We appreciate everybody showing up tonight. Really great conversations. Had some new people on here tonight. Want to welcome those guys and gals. And just hope the rest of your week turns out great. If you haven't checked out those 2 videos we posted earlier tonight, check those out and share them if you can. Give them a thumbs up and all that stuff. We appreciate it. And looking forward to this weekend, maybe do a little Facebook Live impromptu deal with that as well.
Yes, he will have a show Sunday.
And I will have a show Sunday. So appreciate you guys.
Good night, Amy.
Good night, Miss Amy. Until next time, we'll be piddling. See you.